Welcome to part 2 of What If Naruto Unlocked His True Potential Before the Chunin Exams. Please like, share and subscribe with notifications on. Anyway my ducklings, this was the King of Weebs here and let's get into it. Okay class, I am going to hand out scrolls for you to all read about the Second Shinobi World War. We're going to read and discuss them in class today. Pay attention everyone, you will be tested. On it, Iruka stated sharply. Nearly the entire class groaned almost in unison, seemingly uninterested in a boring history lesson and even less enthused with the idea of a test. Only a handful of students did not appear to be fazed by the instructor's words. Naruto, surprisingly, was one of them. The boy had a mischievous smirk on his face as he watched Iruka reach into his desk and pull out a collection of scrolls. Iruka walked around the class, handing a scroll to each student. As he passed by the desk of Naruto, Hinata, and Shikamaru, his eyes narrowed slightly. "Shikamaru, wake up!" he shouted at the Nara. Shikamaru pulled his head from the desk and nodded dumbly as he reached out for the scroll. Iruka frowned as he gave the boy the scroll, then handed one to his friends. He then moved on to the next table and Shikamaru immediately laid his head back down. "How tired are you today?" Naruto asked, chuckling. "Same as I always am," Shikamaru said with a yawn. "Never enough hours in the day for a good night's sleep." Naruto shook his head, mumbling under his breath about lazy friend while Hinata giggled to herself. A few more seconds passed by until Iruka finished passing out all the scrolls. He then walked back to the front of the classroom, holding his own scroll. "Okay, now open up your scrolls and let's start your lesson," he said, opening his scroll, which prompted the other students to open theirs. "Focus your attention on the second paragraph." Iruka was unable to finish his sentence. A large ball of blue paint shot out of the scroll, splashing him in the face. He closed his eyes, dropping the scroll. "Ugh!" he shouted loudly. No one else in the classroom had time to react. Paintballs shot out of each opened scroll, spraying all students with different colored paint. "The hell is this?" Kiba shouted as he tried to rub red paint out of his eyes. "Who did this?" Ken commented, frowning as he tried to shake paint off his shirt. "My hair," Ino shrieked, looking in horror at the green coloration in her hair. The rest of the class turned into frantic shouting. Iruka grit his teeth as his eyes moved from student to student. His eyes then focused on the only students who were coated in paint: Hyuga Hinata, Nara Shikamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto. His eyes narrowed on the blonde. "Naruto!" the academy instructor shouted. All the paint-covered students turned to face the Uzumaki, glaring at him. "How did you tamper with my scrolls?" "Why did you tamper with my scrolls?" "I don't know what you're talking about, Iruka-sensei. I didn't do this," Naruto said, grinning. "Props to the guy who did, though. That's hilarious." "Oh, give me a break, Naruto." Sakura shouted at him, orange paint dripping from her face onto her desk. "A stupid prank like this could only be done by you. And your two friends are the only ones who didn't get paint on them. That's hardly coincidental, you idiot." Naruto frowned at Sakura's words, but he shook his head in response. "I didn't get paint on my face because I didn't open my scroll. Obviously the dude who planned this planned on getting me too. And I just got lucky I didn't open it. And now I'm definitely not opening it." "Yeah, you didn't open it cause you know you get paint on your face." Ino rolled her eyes. "Nah, I didn't open it cause I don't need to learn about the Second World War." He shrugged his shoulders. "That's ancient history. No one cares about that stuff anymore." Iruka's eye twitched in response. "And your friends both happened to not open it too?" Ino asked, her eyes narrowing on him. "I mean, I probably already know everything about the Second Shinobi World War. Didn't feel the need to open the scroll." Shikamaru replied, yawning. "No point to bother. J just was being slow today. By the tea time I started to open it, I saw P paint hit you all. So I didn't want to risk opening my scroll," Hinata said, frowning as she poked her fingers. "P please. Don't use me to blame Naruto-kun. I'm so sorry I didn't open it fast enough." Ino frowned in response. "Hinata, no one's blaming you. Naruto, can you prove you didn't do this?" Iruka questioned, his eyes still narrowed at the blonde. "Can you prove I did?" "'Cause I didn't so you can't," Naruto retorted. "I would have been a victim too if I opened my scroll, you know?" "Then do it," Iruka said. "Prove your innocence." "Nah, I'm not getting myself wet with paint." The blonde scoffed. "You prove it." "Fine." The academy instructor sighed as he walked up to Naruto's desk and grabbed the scroll. "This will be the proof." Iruka, in his anger, forgot he passed out the scrolls. In this moment, he expected a blank scroll. Instead, he was met with another ball of paint that smacked him in the face, painting his already blue face a lighter shade of blue. "Naruto!" he roared. "Well, there's your proof," Naruto declared, grinning triumphantly. Class continued from there, with Iruka drawing attention back to the subject at hand. Still, the instructor continued to keep his eye on Naruto suspiciously. While he technically had no proof, he was still suspicious. He could not shake the feeling that it was his fault. When class ended, Naruto brought Shikamaru and Hinata to Ichiraku's once more in order to celebrate. "Oh man, old man Ichiraku, Ayame-ne, you should have seen the looks on their faces," Naruto said, grinning. "There was paint everywhere and I just know it's gonna take a long time to get everything cleaned up. Everyone was so angry, but they couldn't prove it was me, so I got away with it." "Good work then," Ayame, the daughter of Tuchi, said, chuckling. "I'm impressed you were able to pull something like that off. I mean, you had to pull a fast one on your academy instructor too." "Well, in order to pull it off right, I did need some help," he admitted, elbowing both Hinata and Shikamaru. Hinata looked down slightly, blushing in response while Shikamaru simply waved his hand in acknowledgement of his guilt. "Shikamaru-san, Hinata-san," Tuchi gasped dramatically, bringing his hands to his face in fake shock. "You both helped? Is Naruto that much a bad influence on you too?" "Bad influence? Hey," Naruto frowned. "He's and not." A giggle escaped Hinata's lips. "We just offered tea to help. And Naruto-kun managed to get to the reading scrolls yesterday and IJJ just had one of my C-clansmen's seal P paint in them." Hinata was still uncertain how she managed to convince her former caretaker, Hyuga Ko, to actually go along with her request. He was normally so stoic and followed the rules all the time. She could even tell that he disapproved of the prank. Still, though, he went along with it. She would need to thank him somehow. "They actually did stuff. I did nothing, unless you count giving Naruto some solid advice and arguments on how to avoid getting blamed," Shikamaru said, shrugging his shoulders. "Hey, that helped a ton. I'd probably be cleaning everything up right now if it wasn't for you," Naruto said, his arm swinging around Shikamaru's shoulder. "Thanks a lot. No need to thank me," Shikamaru said, chuckling. "It was fun. It was interesting. Well, I got your ramen ready," Tuchi announced as he finished pouring 3 bowls of miso ramen. He then brought them onto the counter in front of the 3 students. "Enjoy your lunch, you're crazy troublemakers. Well, the ramen is ready. Here you all go, you crazy troublemakers," Tuchi informed them with a laugh as he and Ayame passed out the ramen orders. Finally, Naruto shouted as he reached for his chopsticks. "Let's eat." Hinata giggled as Naruto began shoving his food down his throat while Shikamaru shook his head, mumbling something under his breath. The two then turned their attention to their own ramen bowls. As Naruto walked into class the next morning, he noticed some of the students glaring at him. Kiba and Ino, in particular, were scowling and mumbling something under their breath about him. The blonde grinned back at them and waved as he took his seat next to Hinata and Shikamaru. "People are still pissed about yesterday," he said. "No shit." Shikamaru shook his head, chuckling to himself. "Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Kiba tries to punch you later." "Let him try." Naruto crossed his arms. "Hopefully he doesn't try anything," Hinata mumbled. Shikamaru opened his mouth to respond to Hinata, but he stopped himself as another student walked into the room. A smile developed on his face as he waved at the new student. "Sup Choji. How was the wedding?" he asked. Naruto and Hinata turned their heads to see Akamichi Choji walk in, a bag of chips in hand. He waved to the Nara, a smile on his face. "It was nice. The village was nice. And my cousin's new family were really nice," he said in between bites of chips. "Plus her dad's a great cook. The wedding feast was amazing." Shikamaru nodded his head. "Cool." Choji's eyes moved to Naruto and Hinata. He waved at them. "How's it going, Naruto?" "Hinata? Good. It's nice to see you again, Choji-san," Hinata said, smiling back at him. "Hey Choji, Shikamaru told me you think barbecue is the best food." Naruto noted, crossing his arms as he grinned at him. "I just wanted to let you know that ramen is infinitely better than barbecue." "Place." Shikamaru brought the palm of his hand straight to his forehead. "You actually were serious when you said you'd do that, Naruto?" The Akamichi blinked in response as he stared at the blonde. He was silent for a moment before he started to chuckle, shaking his head. "Ramen's good and all, but trust me, if you had good barbecue, you'd know barbecue is better," he said as he started to eat his chips again. "And if you had good ramen, you'd know what I mean." Naruto defended. "What are you doing after class today?" "I'll show you what I mean. I got nothing planned." "Sure, take me wherever you want and I'll see. And then I'll take you to Yakiniku Q and show you a better barbecue place," Choji said, still chuckling. He then held out his bag of chips to Naruto. Want one? Naruto smiled in response as reached in and grabbed a chip. Thanks. Choji then wordlessly moved the bag towards Hinata, extending the same offer. She bowed her head as she reached in and grabbed a chip of her own. He then walked over to the seat next to Shikamaru and sat down. Uzumaki Naruto felt, for the first time he could remember, that time was going by quickly. Lessons at the academy no longer seemed to drag and he felt himself more invested in what was going on. Days quickly turned to weeks. He greatly enjoyed going to the academy now and spending as much time as he could with Hinata, Shikamaru, and Choji whenever the boy was available. He was having more fun than he could ever remember having. In addition to enjoying his time more, the Uzumaki began to slowly improve in his grades and practical skills at the academy, as did his friends. Iruka began to notice Naruto paying more attention to class and he caught him questioning his classmates whenever he had any questions about topics of a lesson. Slowly, Naruto began to improve his grades in class to the point where he could no longer be considered the dead last of his class. Naruto was not alone in his improvements. Hinata could be seen as becoming ever so slightly more confident in herself, which translated into better focus in lessons on taijutsu or weapons training. Shikamaru, also, would get encouraged by his friends to participate more in class and try for some of the lessons, allowing him to receive marks fitting his actual skills. These improvements were further amplified by training sessions with Shikamaru's parents. Twice a week, Naruto, Hinata, and Choji were invited over to the Nara clan compound. Shikaku and Yoshino proved to be strict teachers, but were effective and respectful, only pushing the students in ways that would benefit them. They showed the students the tree walking exercise and worked on improving their chakra control. They also worked to improve their endurance through sparring session and prolonged tree climbing exercises. Naruto could feel a great difference after all of his time spent with Shikamaru, Hinata, Choji, and the Nara parents. He found himself stronger than ever before, found himself happier, and was looking forward to moving on with his shinobi career now more than ever. He finally had something he had been looking for years for, acceptance. Naruto adjusted the goggles on his forehead, grinning as he looked at himself in the mirror. It was only one more week until the academy graduation exam. He was ready to go in, crush the exam, and move on with his career as a shinobi with Shikamaru and Hinata by his side. Things really have been going amazing, he told himself. With a nod of his head, he rushed away from the mirror, grabbed his belongings and headed towards class. Alright everyone, let's begin our review of the material that will be featured in the graduation exam. Iruka spoke as students stared to quiet down. We have only 1 week left before the exam, so it is important that you all take this seriously. I'd hate to see even one of you fail because you slacked off at the last second. Hear that, Shikamaru? Naruto questioned, elbowing his friend. He's calling you out. He can get in line. The Nara mumbled, rolling his eyes. It's weird to think it's almost over, huh? Choji noted, eating from another bag of chips. Pretty soon, we'll all be ninja. I know, right? Naruto grinned in response. It's so cool. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. Hinata noted, smiling. I'm hoping we end up on the same genin team. Same here. His grin widened. I'd bet money that me, Choji, and Ino are going to be a team to recreate that Ino Shika Cho trio our dads are famous for, so hopefully you two end up together. Shikamaru added. Quote. Naruto was about to respond, but he was interrupted by a cough from Iruka. He turned his attention to the academy instructor, who had a frown on his face. Well, if everyone is so ready to get out of the academy and move on to discussing genin teams, we can move on to the review and hopefully help you all actually pass. He said sharply. The Uzumaki grumbled something under his breath in response, but stayed quiet as he gave the academy instructor his attention. Iruka spent the first hour going over information about Konoha, its history, and its famous ninja that had been discussed during the years in the academy. When he finally finished, he led the class outside to a field with lots of logs. The academy teacher began to review the academy basic jutsu, the substitution, transformation, and clone jutsus, and ordered the students to begin practicing the jutsu on their own. Naruto, Hinata, Shikamaru, and Choji worked together and began practicing their transformation jutsu. All 4 students were able to transform into identical copies of various academy teachers, with Naruto having the most realistic transformation with his version of Iruka. With a nod of his head, he rushed away from the mirror, grabbed his belongings and headed towards class. Alright everyone, let's begin our review of the material that will be featured in the graduation exam. Iruka spoke as students stared to quiet down. We have only 1 week left before the exam, so it is important that you all take this seriously. I'd hate to see even one of you fail because you slacked off at the last second. Hear that, Shikamaru? Naruto questioned, elbowing his friend. He's calling you out. He can get in line. The Nara mumbled, rolling his eyes. It's weird to think it's almost over, huh? Choji noted, eating from another bag of chips. Pretty soon, we'll all be ninja. I know, right? Naruto grinned in response. It's so cool. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited. Hinata noted, smiling. I'm hoping we end up on the same genin team. Same here. His grin widened. I'd bet money that me, Choji, and Ino are going to be a team to recreate that Ino Shika Cho trio our dads are famous for, so hopefully you two end up together. Shikamaru added, quote, Naruto was about to respond, but he was interrupted by a cough from Iruka. He turned his attention to the academy instructor, who had a frown on his face. Well, if everyone is so ready to get out of the academy and move on to discussing genin teams, we can move on to the review and hopefully help you all actually pass. He said sharply. The Uzumaki grumbled something under his breath in response, but stayed quiet as he gave the academy instructor his attention. Iruka spent the first hour going over information about Konoha, its history, and its famous ninja that had been discussed during the years in the academy. When he finally finished, he led the class outside to a field with lots of logs. The academy teacher began to review the academy basic jutsu, the substitution, transformation, and clone jutsus, and ordered the students to begin practicing the jutsu on their own. Naruto, Hinata, Shikamaru, and Choji worked together and began practicing their transformation jutsu. All 4 students were able to transform into identical copies of various academy teachers, with Naruto having the most realistic transformation with his version of Iruka. Once again, another dead-looking clone appeared on the ground. He rolled his eyes as he made another attempt. He continued to try making clones until Iruka spoke up, informing all the students that it was time for weapons training. With an annoyed sigh, Naruto walked forward ahead of his friends, trying to get weapons training over with as quick as he could so he could get back to practice. Hinata, Shikamaru, and Choji all looked at him, confused expressions on their faces. It doesn't make sense though. Most people have problems getting enough chakra. How is that his problem is that he uses too much? Choji wondered. And Naruto-kun has one of the largest chakra supplies I've ever seen. Hinata admitted, shaking her head. It's even larger than my father's chakra supply. That's unreal. Choji whistled in approval. That's going to make him an amazing ninja later, though. He's never going to have problems with chakra exhaustion. Yeah, but it's a problem right now. A troublesome problem. Shikamaru mumbled. The Nara knew that, due to technicalities, Naruto could fail the test if he was unable to produce a single clone, which caused him to scowl. That would be idiotic to fail him for that. Punishing him for a large chakra supply? When that's actively going to help him as a ninja. Hey, Dad. Shikaku sighed. He had only just gotten him from a long day of work with paperwork for the Shinobi Council and a late meeting with the Sandame. He wanted a few minutes alone in his compound's private cellar to drink sake and de-stress. Not even a minute had passed by and his alone time had already been disturbed as Shikamaru ran into the cellar. Yes? He grumbled as he sat his bottle down on a small table. It's a troublesome situation I know, but I got to ask about it. We were working on the clone jutsu and Hinata, Choji, and I noticed Naruto having problems with it. Was wondering if you knew anything that could help him out, since it'd be a pain if he couldn't graduate because of such a stupid problem. Shikamaru said, sighing. Shikaku had an idea what his son was referring to, but needed confirmation. Well, what kind of problems are we talking about? Chakra. Shikamaru answered. Hinata checked with his Byakugan. Naruto's got a huge chakra reserve and is seemingly incapable of using the little amount of chakra needed for the jutsu. The Kyuubi's chakra is probably to blame for that. Shikaku noted, shaking his head. Most people have issues with too little chakra. This kid's issue is the exact opposite. That'll help him out later, but right now that's a pain. I know Yoshino and I have helped him out with his chakra control. This kid is getting better at it, but if he's made no improvements with the jutsu yet, he probably never will be able to create a standard clone. The man's eyes widened as a solution occurred to him. Wait, he probably can't ever do standard clones, but what about a different type of clone? Shikamaru, invite your friends over for a training session tomorrow. Don't worry about Naruto. I got an idea that'll help him out. He told his son. Alright, I can do that. Shikamaru nodded his head. With his concern addressed, Shikamaru walked off, heading to his usual cloud-watching spot. Shikaku remained in his seat, still thinking about Naruto and his issue with clones. If this were anyone else, I'd be worried to show them how to do shadow clones. But Naruto should be fine. He's got enough stamina and chakra to pull it off, troublesome kid. Shikaku noted. Chuckling, he picked up his bottle of sake and started to drink once again. The next day came quickly. Shikamaru brought Naruto and Hinata to his clan's compound after class and walked to the courtyard. Both Shikaku and Yoshino were standing in the courtyard, their eyes on the three students. Choji didn't feel like coming today? Yoshino asked. Yeah, he wasn't feeling too good in class today and went home. We stopped by the Akamichi compound on the way here to check on him and he said he was getting sick. Shikamaru said, frowning. His mother frowned. That's not good at all. I'm going to stop by and see what's wrong with him after training. Later though, we got training to do. Shikaku stated, getting everyone's attention. Today, Yoshino will be working on improving your chakra control further. Yoshino's sadness went away in seconds and was replaced with a sadistic grin on her face. She instinctively reached for a blunted kunai and pointed it at the group of academy students, who all instinctively backed away. What do you intend on doing with those, Mom? Shikamaru asked. If you all are quick on your feet, you won't have to find out. She replied, her grin widening. Hinata turned to look at her classmate. Shikamaru-kun, your mother is terrifying. As if reading her mind. Shikamaru shook his head. At least you don't have to live with her. The Nara clan head chuckled before he continued to speak. Anyway, she'll work on chakra control today for about an hour. I'll tell you what we will do when you are done and recovered. His eyes then moved over to Naruto. However, Naruto, can I borrow you for a little bit before you join your friends with chakra control training? Huh? Naruto blinked in response, pointing to himself, before he shrugged his shoulders. Sure, why not? Then join up when done. Anyway, Hinata, Shikamaru. Follow me. Yoshino shouted excitedly as she walked towards some of the large trees in the back of the compound, reaching for a second. Dulled kunai. Wish us luck, and Naruto-kun. Hinata mumbled as she and Shikamaru both followed his mother. A few seconds passed until they were out of sight. Now along with Naruto, Shikaku crossed his arms. Shikamaru told me you were having trouble with the clone jutsu. Asked if I knew any way to get around having too much chakra. He said, HMPH. The blonde scoffed. Yeah, I know. It sucks. The words died on his lip as his eyes started to widen. Wait, can you help me with it? With the basic clone jutsu? Nah. Shikaku chuckled in response. Huh? Naruto blinked in response. You have too much chakra from what I understand. Nothing's going to fix that. While you can definitely better your chakra control to better use your chakra, if you genuinely have too much chakra for such a technique, you're physically incapable of creating regular clones, so you probably will never get the jutsu down with any help. The Nara clan head informed him. Really? He asked, starting to frown. He shook his head, biting his lip. Then what the hell am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to graduate without it? Am I just supposed to quit or something? Cause that's bullshit. This jutsu shouldn't be a requirement then if kid. Naruto. Relax. Shikaku said, raising one of his hands. Naruto quit talking, but still silently glared at the ground. The look on his face caused Shikaku to chuckle. I said you probably would never be able to do a basic clone. That doesn't mean you can't graduate. How about you learn how to use a different kind of clone technique? Before Naruto had the chance to respond, Shikaku made a hand sign. After channeling chakra, a poof of smoke filled the area. When it dissipated, a second Shikaku stood side by side with him. Both smirked at Naruto. If you have too much chakra for simple clones, then we'll just use your chakra for a more powerful technique that needs more chakra. Shikaku stated. You still interested in learning shadow clones? The clone asked. Naruto's eyes widened once again as he started to grin. No way. Are you serious? Hell yeah. Naruto shouted loudly. I get to learn this epic jutsu that's way more useful and pass the test. This is awesome. Kid, calm down. You still have to learn it. Shikaku told him with a chuckle. Of course I'll learn it. I'm way too awesome not to learn it. The Uzumaki replied. This earned a snort of laughter from the Nara clan head. I swear, no kid should get me to laugh this much. Uzumaki Naruto, you have way too much energy and excitement. You are troublesome, but in a good way. Well, if you're so awesome, then you best be ready. I can promise you it won't be easy. Shikaku noted. I'm going to show you how to do the jutsu one more time. Watch carefully. We'll then work on your execution. Naruto calmed himself down and nodded at the man's words. Alright, let's do this. Shikaku in turn made the hand sign for the jutsu. An hour had passed by since the training began. Naruto was standing with tired, wobbling legs as he panted heavily. You need to take a break soon? Get yourself more energized? Shikaku asked Naruto. Might do you some good. No, I got this. Naruto replied, still breathing heavily. Just give me a moment. As Naruto brought his hands together into the same hand sign, Yoshino walked back to the courtyard. Shikamaru and Hinata followed behind, both panting heavily with bruises on their bodies. How did your training go? Shikaku asked his wife. They're getting better. They lasted a long time on the trees and were able to avoid most of the kunai I threw at them. I was impressed. Yoshino said, grinning. I think next session, I'll use actual kunai. Maybe the fear of getting hit and a real wound will incentivize them more. Mom, I kinda would like it if Naruto and Hinata actually wanted to come over here again, so please don't. Shikamaru pleaded, scowling. You're so strict with your tea training. Hinata noted. Who tea taught you? My sensei was a no-nonsense woman. Someone who would not tolerate any slacking off. Which was good, because it helped shape me and my team into the amazing shinobi we are. Yoshino declared, flexing slightly as she chuckled. She then turned her attention to Shikaku. How's your session with Naruto-kun? Is he still working on it? Shadow clone jutsu. Naruto shouted as a poof of smoke filled the air only to reveal nothing. UGHH. He's making a ton of progress, but it's gonna take a little bit more time. Maybe another day of training. Shikaku admitted, rubbing the back of his head. Understandably, since the jutsu is advanced. That's not going to stop me though. Naruto stated as he brought his hands back to the same hand sign. Shadow clone jutsu. Another poof of smoke filled the area around Naruto. As the smoke dissipated, another Naruto appeared. The original Naruto stared at the second, both blinking at each other. Shikaku nearly choked at the sight. Did he literally just accomplish that to prove me wrong? About needing to take another day of practice? I did it? Naruto asked. I think you did? The second repeated. That, yup. Shikaku spoke up, nodding his head. That's a shadow clone. Naruto immediately tackled the shadow clone he created to the ground. He rolled around the ground with it, grinning from ear to ear. I did it. Hell yeah. I can make clones. Naruto shouted. Hell yeah. We did it. One step closer to being Hokage. The clone shouted back. Hinata giggled at her friend's excitement while Shikamaru had a smirk on his own face. The two ran over to the blonde and pulled him up from the ground away from his clone. Impressive. Very impressive, Shikamaru said. Why, you're amazing, Naruto-kun. Hinata said, a pink blush developing on her cheeks. Naruto responded to their praise by pulling both of them into a group hug. Shikamaru started trying to squirm out a little, having problems breathing properly. Hinata had trouble breathing as well, but for different reasons. Naruto-kun is hugging me. He's hugging me. Don't faint, don't faint, don't faint, don't faint. Hinata repeated the mantra in her head as her face turned scarlet. Not again, not again, not again, not again. Air, give me air, please. Shikamaru mentally pleaded. Eventually the boy let go. Shikamaru immediately started to gasp overdramatically as he caught his breath. I saw. What must have a god calling me to the afterlife? He mumbled in a daze. Ah, screw you, Shikamaru. I didn't hug you that tight. Naruto rolled his eyes. Hinata still seemed to be in some dreamy daze, but was inwardly cheering herself for not fainting from her crush's embrace. Well, from what I understand, you all deserve a break for a little bit. I know Naruto probably does at least. Shikaku spoke, getting the attention of all the students again. Take about 20 or 30-minute break and head back here. We'll work on improving your resistances to genjutsu when you're back. The three shinobi nodded their heads in unison before they walked off together, heading towards a tree. Shikamaru immediately collapsed upon arriving, which caused Naruto to roll his eyes and Hinata to giggle in response. The two then joined the Nara clan heir on the ground as they laid down, staring up at the clouds. Just what we needed, more cloud watchers. Yoshino noted, rolling her eyes. Our son's a bad influence. Perhaps. Shikaku chucked in response. But that might not be a thing. And they are rubbing off on him as well. That's true. I like that they are and wish they would rub off on him more. Maybe that would get rid of his laziness. The Nara woman told her husband with a smirk of her own. They really work well together, you know? They just seem to have a desire to help the other improve. They probably would work well together as a genin team. Maybe even better than you and your old teammates. The Nara clan head was about to give a sarcastic reply, but one glare from his wife told him it would be troublesome to say otherwise. Instead, he remained quiet and watched his son lay down with his friends. Single quote ellipsis. You know, she has a point. They really are all rubbing off on each other in a good way. They'd probably make a great team. Shikaku rubbed the chin of his head. A knock on the door sounded throughout the Hokage's office. Hiruzen looked up from a stack of papers on his desk. Come in. The door to his office opened and Nara Shikaku walked in. The Jonin commander bowed his head. Sandame-sama, I hope you are well. He greeted. Shikaku, no need to be so formal. Hiruzen chuckled as he gestured forward. Have a seat. How are you today? Doing well, Shikaku said as he took a seat in the chair in front of the Hokage's desk. He eyed the stack of paperwork on the Hokage's desk before he shook his head. I can see you're busy today. So I'll keep this brief. I just had one thing I wanted to talk about. No need to rush. Any break from that pile is appreciated. The Sandame chuckled. He breathed out a poof of smoke from his pipe before speaking. What did you want to talk about? It's about the academy graduation, Shikaku said, bringing his together, more specifically, the genin team assignments. What about them? Hiruzen asked. I already made arrangements to assign your son with Ino and Choji. I figure that'll be pleasing to you, Choza and Inoichi. Shikaku shook his head. That's actually what I was going to bring up. I was going to request that Shikamaru get placed on a team with Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga Hinata. Hiruzen's eyes widened in response. He breathed out another cloud of smoke before his eyes narrowed on the Nara clan head. A lot of care was put into team assignments, Shikaku. Is there a reason you wish to make such a request? He asked. I do not know if you were aware of this, Sandame-sama, but Yoshino and I have been training them alongside Shikamaru these past couple of weeks. And I have to say, I think the kids have really a good chemistry together. And they complement one another. Shikaku answered. I think they'd make a rather effective genin team. As would Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. Hiruzen mentioned. Shikaku nodded his head. Theoretically, yes. But I also think that's partially me, Choza, and Inoichi pushing for that trio to be made again. The Sandame's eyebrow raised slightly. I mean, the three of us want to remake another, Ino Shika Cho, like our team was. And that's why we've been pushing it. The Jonin commander admitted, but I'll confess that I don't think the chemistry is like ours. While Shikamaru and Choji are friends, they don't appear to get along with Ino much, or at least Ino and Shikamaru don't get along. He shrugged his shoulders, which all acknowledge that being on a team with each other would probably improve their working relationship, but it's nothing like what Shikamaru already has with Naruto and Hinata. I mean, I play relationships into account when assigning teams, but I don't try and simply put friends together based solely on teamwork. Hiruzen said, his eyes narrowing further on Shikaku. You know that as well. There's more to your request, is there? Shikaku was quiet for a moment. He sighed as he brought his right hand to the back of his head. I've been watching those two interact with my son. And I've seen them make some noticeable changes to his personality and work effort. He admitted, did you know Shikamaru got me to teach Naruto the shadow clone jutsu? You taught Naruto how to make shadow clones? Hiruzen asked, eyebrows raising. You are aware of the risks that technique can pose to its user. Any reason why you would teach him that? Shikaku nodded his head, because Shikamaru argued for it and he made sense. He was very concerned about whether or not Naruto could even learn the regular clone jutsu and wanted me to help him practice. A chuckle escaped his lips. Shikamaru's a pretty sympathetic person, but it's been quite a bit since I've seen him try and help someone like that. And Naruto and Hinata are pushing him as well, making him work harder in training and not just rest the entire time. Hiruzen stared at Shikaku, processing his information. The two were quiet for a few seconds before Shikaku cleared his throat and pulled himself out of the chair. That's all I wanted to discuss. I've seen those two make some good improvements with my son that Yoshino and I are impressed with, and I think he can help them just the same. And I think it'd be a waste to not pair them together and see exactly how much stronger they can grow together. He stated, it's close to the deadline, so I do not know if I can easily change my team plans, Shikaku. Hiruzen admitted with a sigh. However, I will consider it. That's all I ask, the Jonin commander said, nodding his head, as he turned around. Thank you for your time, Sandame-sama. As Shikaku walked out of the office, Hiruzen turned his attention to a clock in the room. It's about time for the academy exam to begin, he noted to himself. He then turned his head back to the piles of paperwork and sighed. Great, more to think about. That would just be more work. The Sandame returned to his work, but in the back of his head, he kept hearing Shikaku's words. Something told him that today was going to be a long day. Amino Iruka glanced at the clock in his classroom, reading 9 o'clock. He then turned his attention towards the students sitting down at their desks. Everyone was quiet. It was a rare moment to not have at least a single student making some type of noise, but today was not a normal day. It was the day of their graduation exam. It was comforting to the academy instructor to see that every student at least understood the seriousness of this date and exam. Ahem. He cleared his throat, drawing attention towards himself. The graduation exam will be divided into 3 parts. The first part is a written exam based on the information that I, and the other academy instructors, have taught you over the years of basic shinobi theory and history. The second is a test on your efficiency with weapons. The final test will be an exhibition of the 3 required jutsu: substitution, transformation, and clone jutsu. Does anyone have any questions? Everyone remained quiet. Iruka waited a few more seconds before nodding his head in understanding. Then let's not waste any time, shall we? Iruka said as he reached into desk and pulled out a collection of papers. For the written exam, you are required to answer at least 70% of the questions correct. You will have 1 hour. As Iruka began to pass out the papers, Naruto turned his head to the table behind him, facing both Shikamaru and Choji. The two nodded their heads at him and Shikamaru gave him a thumbs up, which Naruto quickly returned. He then turned his attention to Hinata, who was sitting in the chair to his left. "Good luck, Hinata," he whispered, a large grin on his face. "Why you as well, Naruto-kun?" She whispered back with a smile of her own. A few more seconds passed as Iruka finished passing out the papers. The Chunin moved back to the desk at the front of the room and turned his attention to all the students. His eyes then focused on Naruto, who was staring intently at one of the first questions. "You don't need to get 100%, Naruto. Just do your best," Iruka told himself. As if on cue with his thoughts, Naruto penciled down an answer and moved on to the next question. A smirk developed on Iruka's face. "You got it this time." Naruto was practically beaming as he made his way back into the academy classroom. The class had just finished the second exam and he shown excellency with both kunai and shuriken, impressing the exam proctor. The first exam, admittedly, could have gone better, but he knew that he passed it. Combined with the rush of adrenaline from the second exam, he was now more confident than ever that he was finally going to become a shinobi. It is now time for the third and final test. Please, come follow me out of the room and over to the examination area when I call your name. After you finish, whether you pass or fail, you will be asked to leave the building. You can wait for friends outside if you must," Mizuki announced. He then looked down at his papers for a brief moment before looking back to the students. First up is Aburame. Shino nodded his head before getting out of his chair and walking forward, following Mizuki out of the room. "Just one more exam then we can go home and sleep," Shikamaru said with a yawn as he laid his head down. "Hell no. We're celebrating when we get out," Naruto stated, grinning. "We're gonna have a victory bowl at Ichiraku's ramen." "That sounds good, but I won't be able to go," Choji admitted. "It's tradition for when an Akamichi graduates from the Shinobi Academy and becomes a genin to have a celebratory feast, so I have to go to that." A dreamy sigh escaped his lips as he almost started to drool. "Both my mom and dad are cooking for it, so I can't wait to taste it." "That sounds like so much fun," Hinata said, smiling. Her eyes dropped slightly as she brought her hands together, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I wish my family did something like that." Naruto turned to the Hyuga. "Did you say something, Hinata?" A blush developed on her cheek as she shook her head. "And no, nothing important." "Akamichi Choji," Mizuki called out as he came back into the room. Hinata yelped, having been interrupted. Everyone then turned their head towards Choji. "Really? That fast? Did Shino already finish?" Naruto asked. "Probably. Shino's good and he doesn't waste time. He probably did it in near record time." Shikamaru shrugged his shoulders. He then turned his head to his childhood best friend and gave him a thumbs up. "You really don't need it, but good luck, Choji." The Uzumaki gave the same thumb-ups to him. "Yeah, good luck, Choji. Do your best," Hinata added, looking back up to him. The Akamichi smiled as he stood up from his chair. "Thanks guys. Good luck as well." Choji left the room and all remained quiet. A few more minutes passed by before Mizuki returned to the room and called for the next student. Names continued to be read. More and more students continued to head to the examination room. A certain tension and nervous feeling seemed to grow in the room with the various students. Amongst her friends, Hinata was the only one to seemingly feel it. As Naruto looked towards the examination room with confidence and Shikamaru continued to try and take a nap, the Hyuga heiress sat quietly looking down at the ground, fiddling with her fingers. "Hyuga Hinata," Mizuki read off. "Eep," she gasped, pulling her head up. Naruto turned his attention back to his friend. A smile developed on his face. "Don't worry Hinata. You're gonna do great, you know?" Hinata blushed in response. Before she could reply, Shikamaru spoke up. "He's right. You're a great ninja and you know the 3 jutsu. Thank you." Hinata finally looked at her two friends, smiling at both of them as her blush reddened. "I'll do my best. Good luck to you two too." Hinata walked back, following Mizuki. Before too long, the academy instructor was back, reading off a new name. "That was quick." Naruto grinned. "She must have done great. Naturally. She knows her stuff," Shikamaru said with a yawn. "You're the one I'm worried about." "Huh?" Naruto blinked in response. "Why?" A snort escaped the Nara's lips. "Because you're an idiot." "Oi!" Naruto nearly yelled. "I'm not. And you can bet on me passing, damn it." I'm kidding. Shikamaru shook his head, chuckling. "I know you're gonna pass. You're probably gonna do a better job than me, to be honest." Naruto's eyes widened for a moment before he shook his head, grinning back. "Yeah, only cause you'll be lazy. If you put the effort into it, you'd get the best grade in class." Shikamaru snorted in response. The two friends remained quiet as more students continued to get called back. After more waiting, Mizuki returned to the room to read off the next name, Nara. Shikamaru. Alright, let's get this troublesome exam over with. Shikamaru groaned as he forced himself out of his chair. Good luck, Shikamaru, Naruto said. Shikamaru waved back in response as he walked out of the room. Sitting alone now, Naruto began to finally feel the pressure of the exam. A sigh escaped his lips as his eyes moved back and forth between the clock in the room to the examination door, watching as Mizuki came back in to call back more and more students. I did fail it 2 times before. I could fail this thing again. Naruto shook his head, forcing that thought to the side. Hell no. After all the work I've put into this, I can't fail. Not this time, damn it. His mind then flashed images of Hinata's, Shikamaru's, Choji's, Shikaku's, and Yoshino's faces, all of whom were looking at him with confidence. He tightened his fists. They all believe in me, so I know I can do this at this time. Uzumaki Naruto. Mizuki finally called back, a smile on his face as he looked at the blonde. About damn time. Naruto grumbled to himself as he pulled himself out of his chair. A grin developed on his face as he rushed over to Mizuki's side. Let's do this. Naruto followed the instructor as he led him into a small, open room with a large, wooden table in the center. Sitting out the chair was Iruka, alongside 2 other academy instructors. Mizuki walked over to the table, standing next to it. Uzumaki Naruto, please perform the 3 academy jutsus. First, the substitution jutsu. Trade places with a log that's placed in the corner of the room. Iruka requested. The blonde turned his head to the corner. His eyes focused on a small stack of logs in the corner before he turned back to the academy instructor. He gave them a smirk and vanished in a poof of smoke. A log was seen in his place while the boy was currently in the corner of the room, sitting on a different log. Without hand signs? As an academy student? Impressive, Naruto. Iruka smiled in response. The other academy instructors wrote down on their papers, no seeming reaction on their faces. Very good. Now, the second jutsu, the transformation jutsu. Please turn into a copy of one of the teachers in the room. And please, do not use that stupid, sexy jutsu of yours. Iruka requested, glaring slightly. Yeah. Naruto rolled his eyes as he walked back to the center of the room. I'm not an idiot. The boy made the necessary hand sign and soon vanished in a poof of smoke. In his place stood Amino Iruka. The man was an identical version of the academy teacher in every way: height, body, structure, and clothes were all spot on. He even got my scar just right as well. Iruka noticed, rubbing his nose slightly on instinct. He coughed a little before speaking. Great job once again, Naruto. Considering that it is me, I can tell that you did an excellent job and could probably pass off as me. I did my best. Naruto spoke in his best imitation of Iruka's voice before dispelling the jutsu, returning to his original appearance. Now, the final jutsu. Mizuki spoke up, a slight smirk on his face. The clone jutsu. Please, make as many clones as you can in the room. Naruto took the second to look at the teachers in front of them before nodding his head. A smug grin developed on his face as made the hand sign for his newly acquired jutsu. Mizuki frowned. What's he doing? Before any of the teachers could verbally react to the different hand sign, the room filled with smoke. When it cleared up, 10 clones of Naruto surrounded the boy. Each of them were all staring at the shocked faces of the teachers, grinning smugly just like the original. So, what do you think? One of the clones asked proudly. Shadow clone jutsu? Impossible. You are an academy student. There's no way you could pull that off. I can't even do that jutsu. One of the academy instructors shouted in disbelief. No, they're real. The second instruct said, shaking his head. To see a genin use the shadow clone here, unbelievable. Naruto, you just went above and beyond what we required for graduation. I can't think of any student who deserves to graduate more than you right now. Iruka informed the boy proudly as he picked up a Konoha forehead protector and tossed it to the boy. Congratulations. You are now an official genin. Naruto caught it and did not waste any second putting it on his head, replacing his goggles with the forehead protector. He ran his hand over the forehead protector, his finger tracing the Konoha insignia. Tears developed in his eyes as he looked back at the academy instructors. I'm finally a ninja. Thank you all. Just watch me, you'll see me become the greatest ninja Konoha has ever seen. Naruto declared. Iruka grinned as he watched Naruto rush out of the room. Naruto, I'll treat you to ramen when you're free. You finally did it. I'm so proud of you. Mizuki, likewise, watched Naruto leave the room with a look of disbelief on his face. He took in a deep breath, resisting the urge to shout. I knew he was improving, but he should never have been able to pass. He can't produce a single clone. But no, he had to learn the shadow clone jutsu somehow. Mizuki mentally snarled. He took in another deep breath as he tried to calm himself down. So what if he passed? That doesn't ruin my plans. It just means I have to change them a little. It doesn't matter though. In the end, I will get my scroll. Mizuki, I believe there's one final student waiting. Let her know it's her turn. Iruka requested. Ah, understood. Mizuki nodded his head as he walked over to the door. Since she's the last student of the day, do you all care if I excuse myself for the day? I had a prior arrangement with Tsubaki. Of course. We are basically wrapped up anyway. Iruka nodded his head, smiling to his friend. Tell her I say hi. Mizuki wordlessly waved goodbye to his colleagues, his mind trying to piece together a new plan. Naturally his surname starts with a U. Means we have to wait until basically the entire class is done. Shikamaru said, sighing. Hinata frowned in response. Don't complain too much, Shikamaru-kun. Sasuke-san just left, so Naruto-kun must be close to done. The two friends stood outside the academy entrance, waiting as patiently as they could for Naruto to finish his exam. Both were wearing their new Konoha forehead protectors, Hinata around her neck and Shikamaru tied around his left arm. The majority of the students had long gone, having left with family, friends, or on their own accord. Even Choji had left, as just as the Akamichi had mentioned, his mother and father had met him to pick him up and bring him to his graduation feast. Only a few students were still there, waiting for their family to come and meet with them. Minutes continued to pass as Shikamaru and Hinata continued to wait together. Shikamaru yawned and laid his head down to take a nap. Hinata continued to stand still, watching the door, before she too got tired and started to lay down on the ground. Hey, guess who's a genin now? Just as Hinata had laid down on the ground and Shikamaru had finally fallen asleep, the two jerked upwards at the sight of Uzumaki Naruto, sprinting from the academy doors with a forehead protector tied around his forehead. Naruto-kun, that's amazing. Hinata stated as she rushed over to him. A grin developed on her face as she stared at his forehead protector. I'm so proud of you. Just when I was finally sleeping. Shikamaru mumbled, rubbing his eyes as he walked over to his friend. You just had to be at the end of the list, didn't you? What's that supposed to mean? Naruto scowled. I didn't ask you two to wait, you know? Doesn't change the fact that we did. Shikamaru said, yawning. A smile then developed on his lips as he looked at the forehead protector. Seriously though, congrats Naruto. You're one step closer to being Hokage. Naruto's scowl disappeared and he was grinning once again. Thanks. And congrats to you both as well. You both are still free to have a victory celebration at Ichiraku's, yeah? Hinata nodded her head. I'm free. Father said I had the day off because of the exam. I'm good with that as well. If mom and dad complain that I was gone, then I'll just say I was hanging with you guys. They shouldn't complain about that. Shikamaru said, smirking. Awesome. Then let's head over there fast before the ramen gets cold. Naruto declared, stepping forward. Onward. Naruto, can you wait a second? The three newly appointed genin turned around and saw Mizuki walking out of the academy. All three looked over at the man with raised eyebrows for a second before Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Guys, give me a second. Naruto said as he ran over to Mizuki. This won't take long, so we can still get ramen in a moment. Hinata and Shikamaru nodded in understanding as they watched Naruto hurry over to Mizuki. Before he could say anything, the academy instructor gestured for him to follow. Naruto blinked for a second before he followed behind, moving to the other side of the academy and away from anyone who could overhear. So, what's up Mizuki-sensei? Naruto asked as Mizuki finally came to a stop. Well, first off, I wanted to congratulate you on an amazing job, Naruto. I mean, being able to pull off the shadow clone jutsu, that's beyond impressive. Mizuki informed him, smiling. You have a bright future ahead of you if that's how you start your professional career as a ninja. Naruto's grin returned as he began to rub the back of his head sheepishly. Hey, thanks a lot Mizuki-sensei. In fact, you impressed us enough that you were nominated for a secondary exam we have here. Mizuki said, his smile widening. Naruto blinked in confusion. Huh? There's actually a secret secondary exam. Mizuki admitted as he pocketed his hands. It's only offered to one graduate each year, and only if there's someone particularly special. If the graduate passes the second exam, then you will automatically be promoted to Chunin rank. Naruto's eyes widened. For real? And you're saying I was chosen? Why? Mizuki's eyes widened at the question before he shook his head, chuckling. Didn't you see everyone's faces after you performed the shadow clone jutsu? That's beyond the skill set for a genin. You showed that you are a genius to be able to accomplish that. It was between you and Uchiha Sasuke, but we all agreed you deserved the honor this year. Oh, Naruto shook his head, trying to process everything. Well then, what's the second exam? Well, you actually have to agree to participate in it before we can make it official. It's actually like a small test, in of itself. Mizuki admitted, rubbing the back of his head. It's like how you don't always get to pick your missions. When the Hokage has work for you, you must do it. Likewise with this exam, once you commit, you can't back down. You understand? Naruto nodded his head, a look of disbelief on his face. Mizuki noted the widened eyes and the surprise present, causing him to chuckle. A single good jutsu changes nothing. He's still the same idiot he's always been. The Chunin resisted the urge to grin. Everything is still going to go according to plan. It doesn't make sense. There was even a question on the written exam today. The only two ways to get promoted to Chunin is through the Chunin exam or through field promotion. The academy doesn't have the authority for this, plus, why the hell would the teachers vote for me for this thing? They hate me. There's no way they'd pick me over Sasuke. Naruto wondered, shaking his head. His eyes narrowed in on Mizuki. Something's fishy about all of this. What are you trying to do here, Mizuki-sensei? Naruto, are you okay? Mizuki asked. The question pulled Naruto away from his thoughts and back to reality. He laughed in response, forcing a grin onto his face. Yeah, I'm fine. Just thinking about how I'm gonna pass this thing. Naruto stated, gripping his fists tightly. I'm ready for this next exam. I already just became a genin and I can't wait to be a Chunin. Already, if Mizuki-sensei is really up to something, then I need to know what he's doing. And if accepting his stupid exam is the only way to find out, then I'll do it. Naruto inwardly noted. Mizuki's smile turned into a grin that almost seemed maniacal. So you'll take it? Excellent, he stated excitedly. Alright Naruto, before I tell you about the exam, let me ask you a question. What do you know about the Scroll of Seals? After his conversation with Mizuki had ended, Naruto had dragged his friends to Ichiraku's. Upon arriving, he immediately spilled the dirt on what he was just informed about. Mizuki-sensei wants you to steal the Scroll of Seals from the Hokage's office for a secret exam to become a Chunin? Shikamaru asked Naruto. Naruto nodded his head, which elicited a sigh from the Nara. What a pain. That sounds completely fake. I know, right? Naruto exclaimed as he crossed his arms. There's no way the academy has the authority for that. They don't. That would mean that Mizuki-sensei is trying to get you to steal the scroll for himself. Hinata said, frowning, but why? He was our sensei for years and he is a loyal Konoha shinobi. Why would he try to steal it? Shikamaru shrugged his shoulders. Guess he's not that loyal. He then turned his head to Naruto. So, what are you going to do about this? At this moment, Tucci came forward and delivered 3 bowls of ramen for the new graduates. Naruto immediately started to dig into his bowl rapidly. Hinata giggled in response while Shikamaru proceeded to shake his head. Only when the Uzumaki was finished did he continue to speak again. Well, I plan on telling Old Man Hokage about it. After that, I plan on taking down Mizuki personally. He admitted, a scowl developing on his face. He thought he could trick me into stealing the scroll. For him, so I feel like I should be the one to take him down. But Naruto-kun, that would be dangerous. Hinata spoke up, her frown deepening. Why you shouldn't go alone. She's right. Mizuki's a Chunin. You may be a ninja now, but on paper, he should be able to defeat you easily if you fought on your own. Shikamaru added. Naruto rubbed the back of his head, his scowl shifting into a frown. I guess I could ask the old man if he has anyone willing to assist me. But I personally want to take down the guy, so hopefully they won't interfere too much. Why not let us help? The Hyuga asked. Naruto blinked, staring blankly at Hinata. Hinata blushed a little at having her crush's attention so focused directly on her. She tried to speak, but no words came out. She then looked downward, her ramen bowl seeming more interesting than ever before. Why do you want to help out, Hinata? You said it yourself, it's going to be dangerous. Naruto asked. After his question, she pulled her eyes away from her food and looked up at him. She took a deep breath before she looked at him with determination present in her eyes. Mizuki-sensei may be a Chunin and stronger than us individually, but if we all fought him together, we could take him out ourselves. We would just need to use teamwork. She answered. She then clapped her hands together. Please Naruto-kun, don't fight him on your own. We can help you. Naruto continued to stare at his friend in surprise for a few seconds, which only caused her to frown. After 30 seconds passed, Naruto stopped staring and smiled widely at her. Thank you Hinata. Sure, you can tag along. We can take down him together with no problem. He told her. Hinata smiled back in response, her blush getting a little darker. Naruto, you realize she said, we, right? That would also include me as well. Shikamaru pointed out, finally speaking up as he put his bowl of ramen to the side. Naruto turned to the Nara and smirked at him. You've been quiet for a bit, so didn't know if you were listening to us. Sure, it's not too troublesome for you, Shikamaru? Naruto asked. Shikamaru snorted in response. I mean, this whole situation is troublesome, but Hinata's right. Teamwork's the best option and I'm not going to let you two do something like that without me being there to help. Thanks. Naruto's smirk turned back into a smile. I appreciate it. And you're both right. Teamwork's the best option. And together, we're going to kick his ass and personally drag Mizuki-sensei's ass right back to the old man. Speaking of the Hokage, we should really discuss this with him first though, like you said originally. The Nara noted. The blonde genin nodded. Yeah. Well, we can't waste any time. We have to hurry and talk with him, cause it's going to get closer to time for me to meet up with that lying sensei. The three new graduates paid for their meal, thanked Tucci, and hurried over to the Hokage tower, ready to talk to the Hokage about their plan. Mizuki could not hide his grin as he rushed through the forests around Konohagakure, looking for the meeting point. Everything was going according to plan and he was one step closer to being done with Konoha. In the end, it really didn't matter if the brat passed or not, I still convinced him to steal the scroll. In the end, that demon brat is still too naive to be a proper shinobi. He noted, chuckling to himself. I still convinced him to steal the scroll for me. Now, to collect my prize. The Chunin did have a slight concern that Naruto could deny the request, as his original plan mostly relied on capitalizing on Naruto's desperation to become a genin, using that to make him go against any better judgment. He was relieved to hear the boy still stupidly believed his lie about promoting him to a Chunin. Everything was going according to plan. All that was left to do was meet up with Naruto, take the scroll from him, possibly kill him, and head off to Otogakure. Mizuki continued to move through the forests around Konoha, searching for the clearing he told the boy earlier. After a few minutes of searching, the white-haired Chunin found him at the meeting spot, holding a large scroll. Hey, Naruto! Mizuki shouted to him as he jumped down into the clearing. Naruto tensed up in response. You really did it, you got the scroll. I knew you would be able to do it. Hey, what can I say? I'm going to be Hokage after all that bayo. And now I'm one step closer to getting there. Naruto informed with a large grin. That is true, and you're going to make a great Hokage. Mizuki chuckled as he held out his hand. Now, hand over the scroll to me. I can test you on one of the jutsus then. The Uzumaki shook his head, his grin widening further. No need for that, sensei. Watch this. Shadow clone jutsu. 3 shadow clones appeared in a poof of smoke standing right behind Naruto. This is crazy, I know, but the shadow clone jutsu was actually one of the jutsu in the scroll. So technically, I already passed the second test when I did the first one. Pretty awesome, eh sensei? Naruto informed the man in front of him. Mizuki blinked in response. He stood still for a moment, his brain taking a few extra seconds to process Naruto's words, before he chuckled again in response as he shook his head. I see, that's pretty lucky, and maybe just a little bit too convenient. Mizuki noted as he extended his hand outward further. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to see if that jutsu is actually in the scroll to confirm that. Sure thing, Mizuki-sensei. I'll show you when we get back to Konoha, though. Naruto responded, bringing his hands behind his head. It's getting kind of late and any longer and the Hokage might actually start to need his scroll back, you know? Mizuki's eye twitched. He took in a deep breath, trying to think of an appropriate response to the boy's statement. The response he chose was to reach for the Fuma shuriken attached to his back. Hand the scroll over to me now. Mizuki shouted. Yep, we were right about all of this. Naruto bit his lip, resisting the urge to smirk. Instead, he brought his hands directly in front of his face defensively. What's going on, Mizuki-sensei? Let's just get back to Konoha, and I'll just show you the scroll there. Haven't figured it out yet, Naruto? Well, then let me spell it out to you. There is no Chunin graduation exam. Mizuki shouted, spinning the shuriken in his hand in a clockwise fashion. What you did was help me steal the scroll. And now, you're going to hand it over, or else you're going to die right here. Before Naruto could even reply to his threat, Mizuki chucked the shuriken forward, causing it to fly directly at Naruto's body. Say goodbye, brat. To his surprise, the scared, nervous Naruto steadied himself and jumped out of the way of the giant shuriken. He then tossed his own, smaller shuriken at the Chunin. What? Mizuki's eyes widened as he jumped away, avoiding the blonde's weapons. That reaction time makes no sense. He should have been too shocked and scared to react. What the hell? Once again, to the Chunin's surprise, more shuriken flew at him at different angles from the forest. The white-haired man jumped out as quickly as he could but managed to still get hit by one shuriken in his side. He winced in pain for a second as his hand went to his wound. His eyes were darting all around the area while he grit his teeth. That bastard, he brought company. Mizuki's teeth grinding grew louder and louder until he turned his head back to face Naruto. Who else did you bring out here with you, brat? Naruto smirked in response. Just a few friends that were looking forward to kicking your ass with me. On cue with his words, Hinata and Shikamaru came out of hiding. They jumped down from their positions in nearby trees and landed side by side to Naruto. Hinata landed with her Byakugan activated while Shikamaru looked noticeably focused. So that's how you went about this, huh? The traitor mumbled in anger. You've been playing with me this whole time, haven't you? This is all some game to you? This is how you treat someone. Who said they'd promote you? Just drop it, Mizuki. Naruto shouted back, his eyes narrowing on the Chunin. There was something fishy with your offer and you even admitted that you had no intention of promoting me. This was a setup for me, so I'm just turning the tables on you. And I have some backup with me to make sure you get rightfully taken down. Mizuki's eyes moved from Naruto to Hinata to Shikamaru. He continued to grind his teeth while he tried to take a deep breath. Relax, Mizuki. It's just 3 genin. You can easily kill all 3 of them. Just calm down and focus. As he took another deep breath, his eyes widened as an idea came across to them. Or, why? Don't I try and have some fun when I kill them? Turn them against one another and then pick them off. Brought your best friends with you, I see. Your best friends, in the whole village, huh? Your only friends. Mizuki noted, chuckling. The genin's eyes narrowed in response, but before they could react, he continued to speak. But maybe they wouldn't be your friend if they knew the full truth about everything. He then brought his hand to his chin in exaggerated thought. Wonder if I should tell them. Truth? Shikamaru's eyes narrowed further. What are you talking about? Ever wonder why everyone hates your little blonde bestie? Mizuki asked, his chuckling turning into laughter. Because no one hates a kid for no reason, there has to be one. It's your generation. Doesn't know the truth, since the Sandaime made the law 13 years ago. You don't even know, but if you all did know. Law? What law? Hinata bit her lip in response. What nonsense is he going to say? What is he going to say about Naruto-kun? He's trying to psych Naruto out. Shikamaru noticed, a scowl forming on his face. Get him distracted or disturbed and somehow turn myself and Hinata against him. But how? Unlike his 2 friends, Naruto ended up dropping his guard. He could not help himself. Despite Mizuki trying to set him up for stealing, he was offering information that the boy always wondered about. Why am I hated? What are you talking about? What law? He asked. Hinata shook her head. Naruto-kun, ignore him. The law prevents anyone from telling your generation that you are the Kyuubi, the demon that attacked Konoha years ago. Time seemed to stop when Mizuki's words left his mouth. Hinata's and Shikamaru's eyes widened in pure shock. Naruto merely stood still, completely stunned. You've all been lied to you all your life. The Yondaime couldn't kill that damn fox. The thing was too powerful for him, so he sealed into a newborn baby to stop it. That baby was you, Naruto. It's why everyone hates you. Mizuki exclaimed, pointing at the blonde. You destroyed so much of Konoha. Civilians and shinobi alike, including Iruka's parents, died because of you. Konoha has so many damn orphans because of you. You are the reason the Yondaime is dead. Everything that happened that night is your fault, you damn demon. Naruto continued to stand frozen in time, still in complete shock. He has to be lying. That can't be. Naruto bit down on his lip, shaking his head frantically. But some of that, it would make sense. Why so many of them stare at me with so much hatred, why they've always hated me. But why? It's not some lie. It makes sense. It matches everything. Everything makes sense. Shikamaru realized, his eyes widening as he turned to face Naruto. It explains his freakishly large stamina. It helps explains Naruto-kun's insane amount of chakra. Hinata realized as she turned to stare at the blonde. Why he gets singled out by the teachers and glared at. Why he grew up alone. Why he is so hated. The 2 kids reached the same conclusion. The 2 kids turned their heads toward Naruto and stared at him for a second. Any fear or ill feelings that could have been within the 2 were completely eliminated the second they looked at him. Naruto-kun. You were treated so badly by the people around you and you had to deal with the fox within you, and you still wanted to be Hokage? You still wanted to fight and defend these people, to earn their respect? Naruto-kun, you are truly amazing. Hinata felt new feelings for her crush. She felt even more pride in him, more awe by his kindness and strength, and something more. Something she didn't know how to describe. He should hate everyone in Konoha for everything they've done to him. And he doesn't. As a matter of fact, he actually wants to change their minds. Naruto, you are one of a kind. Shikamaru noted with a slight smirk. Naruto didn't take the news in any way like his friends. The boy continued to stand completely still. They really do deserve to hate me. Everything's my fault. I'm just a monster. He reached his conclusion. Now that the truth is out, I'm sure you all won't mind when I remove this monster from the world. Good night, demon. Mizuki shouted as he took his second Fuma Shuriken and tossed it at Naruto. The Uzumaki boy continued to stand still in shock as he stared at the oncoming shuriken. Naruto-kun, Hinata called out. Move, damn it. Shikamaru shouted as he made a hand sign, shadow possession jutsu. Shikamaru's shadow rushed for Naruto's body. As quickly as it connected, Shikamaru ran to his right, forcing the Uzumaki to move as well. Naruto's eyes widened as Shikamaru forced him away from the Fuma Shuriken just in time. His eyes widened further as Hinata jumped in front of them, pulling out a kunai. What are you guys doing? Naruto asked, biting his lip. Before they could respond, Mizuki began to shout. Why are you helping him? Didn't you hear me? He's the damn demon who nearly destroyed the village. He killed so many Nara and Hyuga. The Chunin's voice grew louder and louder. You should both hate him. Why are you protecting a demon? You said the demon was sealed within him. That doesn't make him a demon, only a container at most. He's not the Kyuubi, Shikamaru stated sharply. Shikamaru, Naruto looked over to his lazy friend in awe. You really think that? If anything, he's a hero to the village. Hinata shouted, causing Naruto to turn towards her. He keeps the demon locked within him. Naruto-kun is the furthest thing from the Kyuubi. He's our savior. Who keeps it from attacking us? Hinata. Naruto's eyes started to redden slightly as tears started to form. I thank you. You and Shikamaru. You have to be right. So naive. Mizuki snorted. Don't think too much into this, he's the demon. And it would be wise to get away from him before you get hurt while I kill him. Immediately, Naruto turned his attention back towards Mizuki, a scowl on his face as he made a hand sign. Don't you fucking dare. He growled in response. I won't allow you touch them. Hinata and Shikamaru looked back to Naruto and gave a warm smile towards him. They then turned back to Mizuki, ready to strike. TCH, whatever. You're all dead. Mizuki roared as he tossed smaller shuriken at the academy graduates. Mizuki blinked when he saw what exactly his shuriken hit though. Instead of the 3 individual genin, the shuriken made contact with the 3 shadow clones Naruto made earlier. In seconds, all 3 clones disappeared in a poof of smoke. All 3 genin were nowhere to be seen. They used substitution with the clones the demon made earlier, back when he was showing me the scroll. He noted. The academy instructor inside him was actually a little impressed with the skilled use of the jutsu and the quick, unnoticeable exchange. That did not change the fact that he was also extremely pissed. It's pointless to hide brats, cause I'm going to find and kill you all. He shouted. Mizuki made the necessary hand signs before turning his attention to the forest around him. Fire style. Phoenix Fire Jutsu. The Chunin breathed out a barrage of fireballs into the forest. Nearby trees caught on fire. Some trees were completely burned in seconds while others collapsed from the damage. Mizuki watched as he cleared the area around him, looking for the first sign of one of the genin. Within seconds, a group of 20 Naruto clones shot out and charged directly at the Chunin. More shadow clones? Is it seriously all you can do? You're screwed, demon brat. The traitor taunted as he dropped into his personal taijutsu stance. All Naruto clones attempted to assault the Chunin at once. He immediately went on the defensive, blocking them to the best of his abilities. Mizuki was able to avoid too many direct hits while striking back. He was able to destroy 6 of the clones after a few blows. The Konoha traitor noticed that one of the clones was not disappearing. It would keep getting up after each hit and would charge back, ready to strike with its palms. Guess that's the original demon. Weird fighting style for him, but whatever. It's not helping him any. The assault by the clones continued. As time passed, Mizuki was getting more physically tired. He started to take a few more hits than usual from the clones, including the Naruto that was striking him with his palms. Despite his weakening state, Mizuki was able to bring down the number of clones to 6. It was at this point that the Chunin noticed something very wrong with himself. What is happening to my chakra? Why can't I use it? I haven't used any since my fire jutsu. The demon shouldn't be able to do this. Mizuki groaned on the inside. He was getting slightly nervous at this new development. Then, an idea hit him of what was happening. That means, before Mizuki could continue his train of thought, he found himself completely immobilized. He couldn't move, no matter how hard he tried or struggled. Caught you. The Chunin found his head turning around on its own accord. He saw his shadow mixed with the shadow of one of the Naruto clones. At this moment, the clone dropped its transformation, revealing a smirking Shikamaru. You. The traitor hissed. Didn't notice me, did you? Or Hinata, I'm guessing. The Nara asked as he turned his head, forcing Mizuki to turn his head as well. They were now facing the Naruto that Mizuki originally thought was the original. This Naruto dropped the transformation and revealed itself as Hinata. You knew that Naruto was skilled with the Shadow Clone Jutsu, so you assumed that all 20 clones of Naruto were simply clones. It never occurred to you that 2 of those clones could have been Hinata and myself under the transformation jutsu. Shikamaru explained the tactic to the traitor. Therefore, you failed to notice that Hinata, under the guise of one of the clones, was sealing your tenketsu, and therefore sealing your chakra, with the gentle fist with each attack. You also never watched the shadows, since I was nowhere to be seen. Because of that, you are caught in my shadow possession jutsu, and you have so little usable chakra that you can't break through. Damn you all. He hissed once again. You tried to mess with me, and then mess with my friends as well. Naruto stated as he walked forward, his remaining clones following close behind. They all cracked their knuckles simultaneously. Time to show you what happens when you try and mess with us. Mizuki's screams could be heard for miles throughout the forest. Might have gotten a little carried away? Naruto laughed sheepishly, rubbing the back of his head. Mizuki was lying face down on the floor of the forest, unconscious in a pile of blood. Naruto and his clones beat down on the traitor hard. The man, while still alive, would not be waking up anytime soon. He would wake up in a few hours later probably, locked up in a cell or in a room alone with Morino Ibiki. If Mizuki was conscious, he would be praying for the former. You might have, but he deserved it. Shikamaru shrugged in response. Right. Hinata nodded her head, looking away from the traitor's battered body. Silence filled the air for a moment as Hinata and Shikamaru stared at their friend, who seemed as if he was trying to come up with some words. After a minute, he finally broke the silence. So, about what Mizuki told us. Naruto started, looking downward slightly. Naruto, if you think we are going to think any differently of you just because of the Kyuubi, then you are stupid enough that you should have been the dead last. Shikamaru told the boy bluntly. Naruto immediately looked upwards once more, glaring at the Nara. Look, we aren't stupid. We know you aren't the Kyuubi. You are just the container, and there is a major difference. You are definitely not a demon. You are way too troublesome, but also too nice to be one. Shikamaru-kun's right, and what I said earlier was true as well. You are the savior of Konoha, who keeps it back. If anything, Naruto-kun, knowing about it only makes me respect you more. Hinata said, a wide smile on her face and a slightly reddish blush on her cheeks. Naruto's eyes reddened once again as tears fell. He had finally found out the reason why everyone hated him, and it was overwhelming to him. He, himself, was starting to accept the demon label. Until his 2 friends spoke up for him. Just like before during that lecture. His fears of being rejected by them were gone. Naruto almost did not care if he ever earned the respect of the village or not right now. For right now, all that mattered was that he had 2 friends who he would protect with his life. 2 friends who knew why he was hated and didn't think anything different of him. Hinata-chan. Shikamaru, thank you. Naruto nearly shouted amongst tears as he charged forth and tackled his friends in a hug. Thank you. Under normal circumstances, Hinata would have flipped out that Naruto had used the chan honorific with her and would be blushing beyond red at the physical contact. She probably would have passed out. Under normal circumstances, Shikamaru would be complaining that he was having trouble breathing in Naruto's hold. He would struggle to get out and complain about his friend being troublesome. These were not normal circumstances, however. The 2 simply returned their friend's hug, giving him a warm smile. It was almost ironic. Mizuki's attempts to divide the group apart ended up bringing them closer to each other than ever before. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled as he stared into his crystal ball. After Naruto and his friends came in and told about Mizuki's plan, he had kept careful observation of the 3. He had felt some wariness. With allowing 3 newly graduated students from the academy to take on a traitorous Chunin shinobi, but he also felt confidence that they could handle it. Something within him told him that the 3 would be fine. Just like he predicted, the kids were fine. They were now heading towards Konoha, holding onto Mizuki's body, who was going to be delivered to the first Konoha shinobi they could find. The kids succeeded in their mission. More than just succeeded, Hiruzen noted with a chuckle. The 3 genin demonstrated great teamwork with each other. Hinata and Shikamaru went out of their way to save Naruto's life, and the 3 were able to overwhelm Mizuki with great teamwork, such as the strategy utilized with Naruto's clones and Hinata's and Shikamaru's transformations. They complemented each other well and were able to take down a ninja with more skill than them. The Sandame was also pleased when he realized that Hinata and Shikamaru did not treat Naruto differently when Mizuki revealed the news of the Kyuubi. Sarutobi, although a rather smart man with great foresight, failed to predict that Mizuki would reveal the information about the demon to the kids in desperation. For a few seconds, the old man was rather nervous and was tempted to head out there himself to end the man's life before any damage was done. Thankfully, Hinata and Shikamaru took the news very well and actually praised Naruto for being able to be the container. They helped Naruto handle the information as well and not let him get overwhelmed by it. They truly went above any expectations. They were perfect. They worked well together, Hiruzen noted with a smile. Single quote ellipsis. They really should be a genin team. The three of them together, teamwork. Like that is so rare to find in kids so young. It could only get better and stronger as they grow older. I can't separate them, Hiruzen thought. Perhaps Shikaku was right after all. The Sandame sighed. It would mean more paperwork. It would maybe take a little while to explain to anyone who already knew his original plans. Nevertheless, he knew something now and he was going to go by it. Naruto, Hinata, and Shikamaru had great teamwork together and needed to be on the same team. Although, now I have to think of a sensei for them too. Hiruzen realized with a frown as well. Hiruzen started making notes of the jonin available to be a sensei. Kakashi would probably be an excellent choice, due to his love for teamwork. However, the Hokage felt that Kakashi should train Sasuke in order to work with the Sharingan once it becomes activated. Asuma and Kurenai would also be perfect senseis for Shikamaru and Hinata respectively, but not for the other. Asuma's bluntness and his overall behavior would probably intimidate Hinata while Kurenai would not have the patience to effectively train Shikamaru. I suppose none of those three. The Hokage thought to himself. Who is currently available? Maybe. A knock sounded on his door. A sigh escaped Hiruzen's lips as he shelved his thinking and turned his attention to his door. Yes? Hokage-sama, sorry for coming so late. I have just returned from my mission and I know you wanted my mission report immediately, said the voice from the other side. Now? Hiruzen's eyebrow raised in response. Your mission wasn't critical enough that I'd need a report this late at night. Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes widened as an idea came to his mind. An idea started to form into the aged man's mind. An idea that he played over multiple times to make sure how it would work. A smirk then developed on his face. It's perfect. They're perfect for them. Hiruzen chuckled to himself. Well, it's official. I have a sensei now. I mean, if you want me to come back tomorrow, I can. The voice on the other side of the door spoke. Hiruzen could almost imagine the person shrugging. I'll stop by first thing. Actually, why don't you come in now? The Hokage said, shaking his head. I actually have something else we can discuss after your report. The room was quiet for a moment until the doorknob began to shake. The door opened and a single shinobi walked through the doors before taking the seat in front of Hiruzen's desk. Whaaaaaaaaaaaat? A loud scream awakened many people living in Konoha. Anyone with good ears could piece out that the scream came from the Hokage's tower. All of them had to wonder though, who could have caused such a scream and why were they screaming? And that is where I will be ending off today. I hope you all enjoyed part 2. To what if Naruto unlocked his true potential before the Chunin exams and my ducklings, peace.